it's not too late to buy it because it's still better to buy the thermodynamically sound digital asset, which doesn't have all of the liabilities of real estate, stocks, or bonds. It's still going to go up in value faster than the S&P index. It's still going to be a better after-tax return than owning sovereign debt. It's still going to be better than owning physical property subject to acts of God.
Michael Saylor begins by expressing his optimism for Bitcoin in 2024. He identifies 3 major milestones that he believes will catalyze Bitcoin's growth. The approval of Bitcoin ETF, the success of these ETFs in the market, and the upcoming Bitcoin halving event in April. Each of these milestones represents a significant step toward Bitcoin's normalization within the mainstream investment community, setting the stage for a surge in adoption and market momentum. Saylor stresses that this 10-year window represents the best opportunity to accumulate Bitcoin, as the rewards for mining will become increasingly scarce and the volatility of daily trading will overshadow any additional supply. He compares this period to a gold rush, where uncertainty, confusion, and misinformation still dominate public perception. This confusion, he says, creates a unique window of opportunity for those who are willing to invest time in understanding Bitcoin's true value proposition. Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
I think this is going to be a good year for Bitcoin. I think we started out the year with the ETF approval, and that was a big milestone. I think that the success of the ETFs is another milestone. I think that the halving in April will be a third positive milestone. I think those 3 things are going to drive momentum, and I think all the marketing wars between the Wall Street firms is going to be positive, and I think the assets being normalized throughout the mainstream investment community, and so I think it'll just keep generating momentum from here. I think it's also worthwhile, I think, to make one point. I think that we're living through the Bitcoin gold rush era. And I think the Bitcoin gold rush era started January 2024. And I think it runs until around November 2034. So it's about 10 years. And I'll tell you why. Because 93.5% or so of the Bitcoin was mined at the beginning of this period. But in November of 2034, 99% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be issued will have been issued. And so that halving is very symbolic. People talk about Bitcoin, issuance coming out over the next 100 years, all the way till 2140. But the truth of the matter is, the last 100 years, you're only getting 1%. So think, and actually of that 1%, 90 basis points of it is coming in the 12 years that follow 2034, and then it's 10 basis points, 1/10%. But practically speaking, all of the block rewards are de minimis starting in 2034. It's 1% over 100 years may as well be nothing, because the daily volatility and the daily trading volume is going to render that to be somewhere between 3rd order, 4th order, 5th order of magnitude. So that being the case, really, this 10 years is your best chance to get Bitcoin, right? This is the gold rush, because this is the period where there's still a lot of FUD. There's still a lot of uncertainty. People still aren't sure. They don't understand digital energy. They don't understand digital capital. They don't understand digital property. There's a lot of debate in the community. Is Bitcoin a currency, or is it a property? Or, there's massive debate. And a lot of people say, well, it's a currency, and since it's not legal tender, or because it doesn't move fast enough, or I can't buy coffee with it, it's not a good currency. So there's a lot of confusion in the crypto community. There's a lot of mainstream regulators. They think it's currency. So you see bankers say, oh, it's a currency, but it's not a good currency because I can't buy coffee with it. I can't buy things online with it. And it's too volatile. And they think that's a criticism. And so they criticize it. And then people that think that they know what they're talking about, they hear some famous person say, well, Bitcoin is not a good currency and, or the government will ban it, or it's not as good as the dollar or something. And so they get afraid. And they say, well, then I trust that guy, so I'm not going to buy it. So a lot of people are criticizing it for the wrong reason. A lot of people misunderstand it, and that creates lots of chaos, misinformation, stupid, misleading stories in mainstream media. It creates like bad takes on Twitter. It creates all sorts of confusion amongst Wall Street analysts. And so all of that fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and just basic confusion, and then misunderstanding, that causes a slow growth in demand, right? Like demand is growing, but imagine how much faster it would be growing if everybody had spent 100 hours, right? Right? The people that criticize it, there's no way Warren Buffett spent 100 hours studying Bitcoin, right? There's not likely that everyone that criticizes it spent 100 hours studying it. They haven't read the Bitcoin Standard. They probably haven't listened to 20, 30, 40 hours of podcasts, right? So the critics are misinformed, and the mainstream investors, they have all the money, right? There's $900 trillion of wealth out there. There's only $1 trillion in Bitcoin. So 99.9% of the money, of the wealth, is not invested, right, in the asset class. So a lot of people that don't understand what this is have a lot of money, and yet we've got a 10-year period when there's going to be an explosive increase in education, right? As Bitcoin's going to go up. And as the price goes up, more people are going to get asked, and they're going to reject. They're like, stop asking me. I hate talking about this. Like, we don't like it because it's like gold. It doesn't generate cash flows, or they don't understand. If you don't understand perfect money, right? What's wrong with gold? Gold has emissions. Gold is inflationary. That's why it doesn't work. If you don't understand that, then you don't understand why digital gold is better than gold. So you don't understand Bitcoin, you don't understand money, and then you haven't really thought very deeply about property theory or capital theory. So you definitely don't understand digital capital, which means you don't understand digital energy, which means that when someone asks you, you're going to buy it, your answer is, of course I'm not going to buy it. I don't get it. But what I say to people, right, like, if everybody read all these books, if they listened to all your podcasts, if they listened to all my podcasts, if they thought about it for a few hundred hours, tomorrow they would wake up, they would all buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin would be $5 million a coin. If you buy Bitcoin at 50,000 when it's 5 million, you're going to be bragging to your kids that you got 100x your return.
For those who feel they may be too late to invest in Bitcoin, Saylor offers reassurance. He encourages skeptics to invest time in understanding Bitcoin rather than simply dismissing it. He believes that many people do not buy Bitcoin simply because they do not understand it well enough. He challenges them to study the asset, engage with educational resources, and then make an informed decision. Saylor also notes that Bitcoin's market cap is still relatively small compared to the global wealth pool. With around $900 trillion of wealth worldwide, and only $1 trillion currently invested in Bitcoin, there remains significant room for growth. He contends that as education spreads, more investors will begin to see Bitcoin as a viable alternative to traditional assets.
It's not too late to buy it because it's still better to buy the thermodynamically sound digital asset, which doesn't have all of the liabilities of real estate, stocks, or bonds. It's still going to go up in value faster than the S&P index. It's still going to be a better after-tax return than owning sovereign debt. It's still going to be better than owning physical property subject to acts of God, force majeure, and all the other physical limitations. So it's still going to be the best investment. you have 10 years during which you can work and you can buy Bitcoin while everybody else disagrees with you and doesn't understand it because they're intellectually lazy or they're a different generation, right? So that it's like me saying it's 1905 and in 15 years, everybody's going to have an automobile. And now you know. Okay, well, you have 15 years to get rich in the automobile business. Figure out, are you going to set up the dealership in New York City? Are you going to start a company? Are you going to be a salesperson? What are you going to do? You have 15 years. Figure it out. This is better than that. But this is a 10-15 year head start. So we're in the gold rush period. People are, when they think about it, they're going to realize this is the period during which everybody in the world started to realize Bitcoin is digital capital, and there's a digital transformation of money, and that you want to hop on top of that. You want to exploit that, and there's 1,000 ways to do it. Maybe it's just work really hard at your job and buy Bitcoin. Maybe it's start a company. Maybe it's do something different. You decide, right? But I don't ever regret any stacking I did. I mean, we bought Bitcoin, below 10,000. We bought Bitcoin probably above 60,000. I mean, at the end of the day, we never know when the world wakes up, gets rational, and then it runs through the all-time high, and then we regret not having bought more. I would encourage anybody that thinks maybe I'm too late. I mean, I think I would say, well, maybe you just haven't studied this enough, right? Don't give me your money if you're not confident. Give me your time, and if you don't want to invest the time, maybe you don't care about money that much. It must not matter to you that much. If it matters to you, then you spend enough time to figure out whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. And there's plenty of information out there for you to come to your own conclusion.
Saylor concludes with a call to action, urging viewers not to regret missed opportunities. He shares his experience of buying Bitcoin at various price points, from under $10,000 to over $60,000, emphasizing that it's not about timing the market perfectly, but rather understanding the long-term value proposition. He advises viewers to be proactive in their education, invest time in understanding Bitcoin, and take calculated risks based on that understanding. In conclusion, Michael Saylor paints a compelling picture of the next decade as a transformative period for Bitcoin. With key milestones on the horizon, a massive educational wave about to hit, and widespread misunderstanding still prevalent, this could indeed be the Bitcoin gold rush era. Whether you are an investor, a skeptic, or simply curious, now is the time to dive deeper, educate yourself, and consider how you might position yourself in this evolving landscape. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on investment strategies and financial tips. Leave your questions and comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video.